Hello, my name is Alun. My pronouns are he, him, and tonight I'm facilitating the first of 4 sessions of Coeur de l'Épée. Coeur de l'Épée was a stretch goal for the Hearts of Wulin Kickstarter. It is a stretch goal created by Catherine Evans for the PbtA game Hearts of Wulin by Lowell Francis. And this is what Catherine has to say. Welcome to Coeur de l'Épée, a Hearts of Wulin variation set in swashbuckling France. Here's the thing, though. It's not really France. It uses names and locations that we might be familiar with, and it definitely has the feel, but it's not really France. It's the swashbuckling France of novels and films. Alexandre Dumas, for instance. And of course, he was writing 300 years after the events that he was writing about. Unlike Hearts of Wulin, this setting doesn't really assume mythological elements. So this is a game around social maneuvering, blackmail, scheming, and dueling. Okay. In terms of the aim of this game, of this session, we've already done some character creation, and I'll ask the players to introduce themselves and their characters in a moment. And we've also fleshed out some factions for this 17th century France. But I'm going to use as the kind of inciting incident for this session and see where it takes us in the other ones. The Longest Night, a grand ball at Versailles, and I'll fill in some details about that once we get going. In terms of the tone and subject matter of this, as I say, again from the supplement, this is the Western swashbuckling equivalent of Wuxia China, which is the kind of setting of Hearts of Wulin. But it's no more historically accurate than The Man in the Iron Mask, as played by Leonardo DiCaprio, or all those various film and television versions of The Three Musketeers. They are, though, our media touchstones for this. There may well be some elements of class struggle and some kind of proto-revolutionary, because revolution is, 100 years or so in the future. But there may be some of that going around because it's a good source of conflict. So, to the players from the supplement, leave your historical knowledge at the door, buckle every swash you can conceivably locate, and step inside this hall of mirrors, where we will dance and drink and debauch our way through the greatest days of l'Ancien Regime's decadent glory. Can't go wrong with that, can you? We may be playing scenes where players butt heads. They may confront one another emotionally, if not physically, and where their scheming, blackmail, and betrayal is always possible. And we may also touch on some adult themes. And so for that reason, we'll be playing within our community code of conduct and using a layered set of safety tools. Now, I've played with 3 of these players before, a 4th one not, so I'm going to go into a bit of detail about safety tools and my view of them. We're going to be playing with some lines. Lines are content that will not appear in the fiction. There is a lines and veils tab, and I have put my starting lines in. So that stuff won't be in the fiction. Veils is stuff that may appear in the fiction, but if it does, we'll fade black or draw a discrete curtain across them, that content. It won't appear on screen. And as I say, my starting lines and veils are in the lines and veils tab. I will invite the players to look at those. Go ahead and upgrade the veils that I put into lines if you want to. Select other lines, other veils, and there is space at the bottom of the list for you to add lines or veils, content that you feel is not covered in the list. Now, lines and veils go a long way to ensuring that we all know the bits of stuff we're comfortable with or not. There is another 2 columns on that tab. One is Ask First, which is before getting into that content or before describing that, any one of us that wants to put that into the narrative will just check in with the table before we go any further with it. And also, there may be some things on that list that you are positively interested in seeing, in which case, by all means, put a tick in those boxes. But lines and veils can't cover all the bases. we don't know exactly where we're going to go with this story. We're going to play to find out. So that's what the X card is for. Now, the X card can be played when something makes you uncomfortable, or you think we might be going in a direction that would make you uncomfortable. The best way to play the X card for me is to kind of make an X, because I will tend to be focused on what the players as I see them in front of me. But otherwise, put it in the chat. If I don't appear to notice it, folks, and somebody else does, please draw my attention to it. Now, the X card can be played for anything, okay? I've had the X card played when I gave an NPC a name just off the top of my head, and then that NPC began to do some slightly disreputable things. And someone X-carded and said, actually, that's the name of my brother-in-law, and I'm getting a bit uncomfortable with what they're doing. So we just changed the name. The other thing I want to say about the X card is that if something comes up and you think, I'm okay with that, and it slides by, just because you were okay that time, if it comes up again, you think, actually, I'm not okay with that. Just because you didn't play the X card last time doesn't mean you can't play it this time, right? The X card is there just to pause play and for us to check in. I won't ask you why you've played the X card. What I may ask is how far back in the fiction you want me to go so I can play forward around it and avoid that material. And likewise, if you think we're getting close to something that would make you uncomfortable, then the X card just puts a pause in so you can just check in and say, I'm a bit concerned we might be heading towards this. Can you just reassure me? You could use the X card if you think we're sailing too close to a line and say, hang on, can we just time out for a moment? Are we heading towards, because I noticed we have a line on that, and then just be reassured that we're not, or that, you know, if I've forgotten that's a line and I'm sailing towards it, you know, X card and draw my attention to it. We're also running with an open door. The open door is there because stuff may happen in the real world away from these screens, in which case, go and deal with it, right? Life goes on. Don't ignore life for the game. Hopefully you'll come back. It's helpful if you can put in the chat that you'll be right back, or sorry, something's come up. I need to, you know, I'll try and get back in 10 minutes. But equally, folks, the open door is there. If this turns out not to be fun, if this turns out not to be the game you hoped it would be, the open door is there to walk away, right? No one will comment on that. You know, if you're not having a good time, life is too short to spend your time doing stuff that's not fun. So the open door is there either during a session or between now and the next session, and you think, actually, not for me. Just let me know, and then that's fine. And finally, I increasingly see the debrief at the end of the session as a safety tool because it allows us to express, we'll be using stars and wishes. Stars, the things that we enjoyed, that went well, that we want to kind of applaud, and wishes, things that we might want to see next time, or things that we don't want to see next time. So I increasingly think of stars and wishes as another safety tool that we can kind of look back on the session and say, this was great, I want to see more of that. That, it was okay, but I prefer not to see any more of that. Thank you very much. Or, yeah, I want to see more and more of it. Okay, so that's safety tools. So that's my pitch, folks. I will check in on lines and veils just to make sure that I know what you've all ticked. But for now, let me shut up and go to the players. And I'm going to go from right to left on the character keeper. So I'm going to start Anders. Anders, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Brother Seraphin.
Hello, my name is Anders. I use the he, him pronouns. I will be playing Brother Seraphin. Seraphin de Brigny. My French is terrible, but that's my best approximation. He is a young Jesuit just out of the seminary. I don't know how, yeah, seminary, yeah. He is rather naive about the world. He's learned, but not worldly. And he is probably more, I suspect that he will be perhaps a bit overwhelmed by the by the diversions available to someone who isn't spending all their time in a convent. Yeah. He has he's a very junior member of a family of the landed gentry. So his oldest brother is at court in some position. And in this completely imaginary world, the Jesuits are not well liked by the crown, and they are, of course, working to ensure the supremacy of the papacy over all of Europe. You're muted.
I'm muted. Yeah, spotted. Yes, and you've picked your role move as the cloistered one. Each of you starts with 2 other moves from your playbook. I don't mind if you choose them now or if you want to choose them in play. You know, so if you want to see which way that goes, by all means, you can choose those 2 playbook moves once we get going.
Yeah, I have a smiling proud wanderer, which allows me to ask questions from the study move without rolling. As he's observant and notices things, but I'm not sure about the second one. I'm still looking.
That's fine. We'll see which way play takes us. Let's move along. Sabine, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Alouette deGourdan.
Hello, my name is Sabine. I use any pronouns. I am playing Alouette deGourdan. She is the specialist and uses the curtain role. Have you know, she is nowhere curtains in the classical sense. She's not a prostitute, of course. She's respectably married. Her husband is away on the countryside, raising horses and praying to God. Presumably, she likes him well enough. Well, he's in the countryside at least. She's a very social person. She knows a lot of people know her. And if some people say that she is the center of a web of intrigue, that is obviously untrue. She's just a simple wife of a country horse raiser and has no political ambitions of her own. She is a member of the Friends of the Royal Opera, which is in no way a secret society interested in the occult or mystical stuff, which doesn't work, but anyway, that is not what they are about. They are just friends of the opera. And if somebody tells you that she is adept at fighting with a fan and a dagger, that is clearly made up. They must have seen it in an opera or something.
I like that very much. Thank you. And then continue to move across from right to left. Gerwin, say hello, tell us about your pronouns and introduce us to Captain Remy Wolfe.
Captain Remy Wolfe is very much the D'Artagnan of the group, the young idealist officer that is very much, ignorant of the real state of the world. She believes all the myths of old, of Charlemagne and his knights, of nobility, of noblesse oblige, and basically has gone out into the world to make a name for herself, and make a name for herself she has. She is a member of the Sea Guard. She is a Marine officer, specifically one who, for the most part, hunts down a pirate and has had a successful career doing it. The problem is, while the common folk may have heard of her, the nobles don't only really care about that when it affects their bottom line. And as a result, she's well known by the nobility and those who she's saved, but the vast majority of the nobles don't know her and don't really care about her. She is very forthright in her ideals about what a noble should be and what a noble person, a noble spirit, a noble soul should be. And those don't necessarily match what she comes across. And that's led to 1 or 2 duels. I'm not saying blood was drawn, but blood was definitely drawn. Clothes were cut. people may have ended up running away. She may have ended up running away, were pursued by mobs at times, but you know, she very much has her beliefs and she sticks to them.
I like that. I noticed that her dueling style is christened the lily pad waltz. Do you want to give us a flavor of what that would look like in play, or do you want to develop that when it matters?
I imagine it to very much along the lines of the dueling style from the Mask of Zorro. It's all about, predominantly it's about footwork. So it was called the lily pad waltz because they would basically put down small circles, and then you basically move around the circles and move between them. So you basically concentrate on your footwork and move in between restricted areas. Okay.
I suppose I'm curious. So it's linked to Earth, and I'm just checking in caution, focus, and presence. Is it about, because that sounds graceful and flowing. Tie that to Earth for me as your element, your style element.
It's very much on focusing the footwork, being careful of where you're stepping, where you're going, and being aware of the actual world around you as you do it. It's about actually moving your opponent into the places you want them by basically you concentrate on your footwork and move them into a disadvantaged position.
I'm with you. I'm with you. If you just want to put some kind of strap line in the description of the lily pad waltz that talks about something like that, that again will help us all visualize it when push comes to shove. And yes, you're a trusted officer. Yeah, I get that. And you've chosen 2 moves. Again, I won't hold you to those until you use them. Let's move on to our last player and character. Miriam, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Simone Leblanc.
Hello, I'm Miriam. I use she, her pronouns, and so does Simone Leblanc. She was a commoner and now pretends to be anything she likes to be. I have chosen the thief playbook, and I'm also part of the Fellowship of the Ashen Cross, which is a thieves guild that is looking to make a name for themselves and gain power. Simone pretty much looks out only for herself and thinks pretty lowly of the commoners as well as the nobility which she mingles with. She uses the Boucher fighting style, which is associated with fire. That's pretty much her whole personality, is pretty passionate, to use a positive word. And I think that's it for now.
That's great. Thank you very much. Okay, so that is our starting cast of characters. We have a set of factions. I've added a faction as the loyal and favored King's Musketeers. So we have a selection of existing NPCs. We have our player characters. I am now interested in how these characters are entangled together. So again, I'm going to keep going from right to left on the character keeper. So I'm going to go back round Anders to Brother Seraphin. I noticed that you have penciled in, I harbor a secret love for my employer, but if their family member space learned of it, they would destroy me. So who is your employer?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was thinking that could be one of the other PCs. Like I'm there to act as an advisor or a teacher or something like that. And I'm not set on the second half being necessarily a family member, that sort of thing. But that's one that I found interesting. So I'm not sure who would want to have a Jesuit monk following them around.
It's on the table, folks. Anyone want to pick that one up? Anybody want a chaplain?
I mean, who wouldn't? Like, look at him. Who
He's
wouldn't want
very
that?
cute. He's very
Isn't
cute.
he? Isn't he? So, yes.
So
Sure.
a secret love for Alouette. But if their family, so yeah, how do you want to? Do you want to leave it at that, and I'll come back to you for how you want to tweak the second half of that entanglement?
I don't know. Sabine, do you have an idea for who would want
Maybe
to
my-
destroy me if they
Oh.
found out?
Probably my, not my family member, but my patron, I think, maybe, Josette. I don't think she'd
Oh, yeah.
want that. That is not proper.
Well, can I suggest then that we try to work out who Alouette is entangled with, and that might suggest to Brother Seraphin who he needs to be careful of.
I mean, my entanglement also has targeted Brother Seraphin, but I might change it, though. I'm not sure how, because I thought that I would have an affair with Cardinal de la Tour, but Brother Seraphin, who I desire, must never know. I mean, this could still work because we of course wouldn't talk about attraction frankly, because who does that? It's gauche.
I mean, there's no reason, of course, why these mutual feelings shouldn't exist. They're just not expressed because neither of you dares express them, perhaps.
Of course not. That would be gauche, and that is a French word.
Absolutely. So I'm wondering then, Brother Seraphin, her patron, what if it was, do you want to go with Josette, her patron, or do you want to go with Cardinal de la Tour, who is the face of the Jesuits in France?
Could be the Cardinal, but I feel like that kind of just makes a big triangle with me and Alouette and the Cardinal. It's more interesting to have another character in there.
Fine. And I can quite understand why Josette, as the kind of mistress of the society, the supporters of the Opera House, the Friends of the Opera House, given what they're interested in, an entanglement with the church may not be appropriate. Yes, I can see that. Okay.
Probably less than an entanglement with the church is quite appropriate, but not something serious. Exactly.
The
Right?
Cardinal, now he might know some stuff.
Yeah, but that little monk, what does he know? He's not important.
Okay, let's move along. Captain Wolfe. I noticed there is a mutual unrequited love between Blah and I because of my duty to Blah.
Yes. So
what have you got in mind?
It's unrequited because of my duty. Well, my commanding officer, the Cardinal Dulac, I have a duty to him and to serve him. The trouble is, I think I've fallen for a thief. If Miriam is okay with that.
An unrequited love between Simone and I because of my duty to Cardinal Dulac.
Yes.
Yeah, fine. That sounds like it's a goer. Simone, disguised as another gender, I fell in love with Blah, but Blah knows my secret and could reveal it at any time.
I mean, yeah, not to make it too uninteresting by going back to Remy, I would choose probably Alouette, if you're okay with that. And yeah.
Because I have to say, even dressed as a man, Simone is hot.
Sure, yeah. I mean...
Yeah, I'm not that particular about people I find hot, though.
And also Simone in any disguise looks hot. And then who knows my secret? I would have chosen Emile, who is the leader of my faction. And so maybe it isn't quite as harmonious in there.
I wonder why Emile is concerned about it. We might explore that in play. Maybe there's more unrequited love on the table than we know yet. Okay, so that seems to work nicely. Let me go back round to Brother Seraphin. Your general entanglement, I suspect someone of evil, but someone else who I respect believes in them.
Yeah, and I was thinking this could be Simone and Captain Wolfe. But I suspect Simone is up to no good, but Captain Wolfe has assured me that no, she's perfectly respectable. Does that sound interesting?
I like that. I like that. Alouette, I am being blackmailed by someone to spy on my friend, someone else.
I think I'm blackmailed by Emile because I like to be blackmailed by this guy. To spy my friend Remy, of course, because I mean, Remy needs someone to bring the navy to attention of the nobility, and I have contacts in the opera. And what better than to have an opera about the navy and, of course, Remy's grand deeds to gain the attention of maybe the king.
A royal command performance of a new play focused on pirate hunting would seem to me to be an entirely appropriate aim.
Right.
Love that. Remy Wolfe, I saved someone's life on the battlefield, or maybe at sea, but they credit my friend someone else with the noble act.
Sorry, that's the
no, sorry, I caught you. I started talking and I looked up and you were eating. I apologize.
Sorry, it literally came straight home and had my dinner and the table.
Who do you want to have saved, or who is interested in having been saved?
I think I'd say Brother Seraphin, but he actually accredited it to Alouette. In fact, I think that may have been how they actually first met each other.
Does this suggest some voyage, some sea voyage that we find both Brother Seraphin and Alouette on board? I'm just curious. Perhaps.
Sounds interesting.
We'll worry about that in play. Alouette, you okay with that?
I wonder if I would leave Paris for a sea voyage, actually. But could be. Maybe somebody said, you need to go to London and talk to this person. Oh, that was nice. Yes. I mean, I needed to go to London to see the opera, of course.
Exactly. Right. Perhaps the opera house went on tour.
Maybe. And if somebody dropped dead of an embarrassing and painful disease while I was over there, that is not my fault, is it?
No, but you know, that strangely people talk about how these strange and painful diseases, surprisingly common. Fine, go ahead, Gerwin, put some names into that. And Simone, and now you've come up with a choice here. Put them on the table in front of the team.
Yeah, it was the first idea I had was I know of a plot by my peer Blank against the noble Blank, and then I would have maybe chosen, the peer would have to be an NPC, as of yet unknown, and the noble, or I would have probably chosen Remy. Or the one I just found was I discovered that my sibling, another Blank NPC, has been learning techniques from Blank, and that could be also probably Remy. The original prompt is an enemy clan, but I think I'm not
another faction.
Yeah.
I mean, for what it's worth, is it possible that you have a sibling in the Musketeers being trained by de Treville, or are you in fact the sibling of one of the players, one of the player characters? Known or unknown? Or the sibling of an existing NPC? I don't know.
I like the idea about that my sibling is in the Royal Musketeers. Yeah.
Okay.
So come up with a name for them.
I'm just wondering. I mean, I'm looking at our existing NPCs, and I can't help noticing that Sophie Delamere. Oh gosh, I've got a Delamere. I must get rid of that. Dupont.
Alan, it's fine.
Oh.
Just call them the Sea Guard. Don't worry about.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. So I'm just wondering, is Sophie Delamere the touted next mistress for the king, your sibling? Or do you want to pick somebody else? Or invent somebody else, for that matter?
What was her status again?
She is called l'innocente at court. She is being touted as the king's next mistress.
Yeah, sure. I'll take her.
Okay. Fine and dandy. Okay. So we have some connections. I'm not going to, given that we're in session 0, session 1 here, I'm not going to ask you to highlight one of those entanglements. If we hit any of those entanglements, you'll get the benefit at the end of session. So let's start. And we'll start with what I put in the CATS document here.
One question.
Bonds. Oh, sorry, yes.
Should we do bonds, before we start?
Bonds, yes, thank you. I always think in the character sheet, I work my way down and I have to go back up for bonds. So yeah, bonds. You have 2 bonds to allocate, folks. Who they have to come, the bond has to be attached to someone in one of your entanglements. So let me go back round to Brother Seraphin. Which of the people in your entanglements do you want to have a bond with? Alouette, okay. Brother Seraphin and Remy are the ones that Alouette is looking at, and of course, because you are so well connected, you get another bond to play with, and that is to Josette, your the Dowager Josette, head of the chairperson of the Friends of the Royal Opera. What about Remy? What are you thinking of as which of the people in your entanglements do you want to bond with?
I'll bond with Simone and with Alouette.
Fine. And Simone, what about you? Which of the 1, 2, 3, 4 people, I guess, are you going to link? So now, just let me explain the general entanglement. I discovered that Sophie Delamere is my sibling, and she is touted to be the king's next mistress. But so is the king the other part of that entanglement?
I would say no, but then we need another one. And
we do. So we need to add to that something, a but or an and. What?
I'm open to ideas from others.
Anyone got a suggestion about where Simone could go with that? Because we kind of got the front end of the entanglement. We need another NPC to be somehow engaged with this. Or a PC, for that matter.
Going back to what I was talking about in the group earlier, rather than for me, could Queen Charlotte mistake the 2 sisters and basically get them confused at times? So yeah, that.
Yeah, I'm yeah, okay. So the King's Mistress, and the Queen. Queen. Go on, give me some words. Phrase it for me.
But the Queen plots against her.
So the Queen may punish me.
Yes.
Yeah?
In her place.
Yeah. So the Queen may punish
I've got it.
Oh, go on. Okay.
No, oh, no, it's yours. But yeah. Okay.
Sorry. And so therefore we can highlight the Queen. Gee whiz. Top table. So who do you want an entanglement with? Now the bond need not be a positive one. It is simply a connection with that you can leverage in some way.
So like strings in other
a
games.
lot like
Okay.
strings. A lot like strings. Yeah. They so a bond is not necessarily friendship.
Yeah, okay. I'll take Alouette.
Okay.
And I can also take NPCs, right? So
yeah.
Then
absolutely.
I would take Emile.
Fine. So Alouette and Emile, put them into the entanglement. And if you want to kind of flesh that out in terms of what that relationship is like, then fine and dandy. Otherwise, we can just play to find out. Thanks for the prompt, Sabine. I would have just rolled on down the character keeper and got on with the game, but well remembered. So let us then consider. The setup is that the longest night is approaching. So we're in winter. The grand ball at Versailles that will celebrate the winter solstice and run from sunset to sunrise. It is the longest party of the year. Competition for invitations is fierce. For those who cannot attend will find themselves the victim of other people's machinations. And I suppose the prompts for this are, how will the characters make sure they attend and that their rivals do not? What rivalries may bubble over at the ball? What new love affairs may begin at the ball? Who will fight whom? And will the arena be pointed words that destroy reputations or rapiers at dawn? So let's begin with someone who I think, Alouette. How will you get an invitation?
Excuse me? I don't I mean, I assume I will be invited, of course. I mean, what
So
wouldn't I be?
Your assumption is that an invitation will arrive.
Well, yes, I imagine I've been at court for a while now, and it has so far. I might, will have, of course, put out my ears, right, to see if there is anything that might go awry with the whole thing, and if any one of my multitude of people who do not, for some unfathomable reason, like me, maybe they don't like opera, maybe they are kind of, I don't know. Anyway, if one of them has kind of tried to prevent me from going, that's what I want to do. I want to know if there's some plot brewing that will prevent me from going. But usually I would expect to get an invitation because I have been at court for a while now. And I am not, I'm not the person you don't invite for reasons. I'm decorative enough.
Exactly. So would it be fair to say then that you begin to talk to your network of contacts, yes, with an intention of just making sure?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does that
exactly.
sound like when you rally a crowd to your cause?
I don't know if I'm rallying a crowd to my cause. We're not at that point right now. I think I just want to study, maybe. Study the lay of the land.
Fine. So let's roll to study.
Mm-hmm.
And give me some narrative hooks for this. What do we see you doing that might then determine which element you're rolling with?
I think I have a maid. Of course, I have a maid. I am a noblewoman, but I'm on actually quite good terms with her, and she knows other maids, and that is where I'm going for the initial lay of the land to see who else I might want to talk to. And I'm talking to my maid. She does clearly need a name. She's called Marie. And we'll talk to her about the ball, the upcoming ball, and the gown I've ordered for it. And I will let her, no, I will be pretty frank with her. I think that I just wonder if, like in the year before this, poor late Baroness de Perpignan tried to prevent me from going. And I hope that nobody is foolish enough to try something like that this year. And if she has heard anything, or if she might want to see if she has heard anything, right? Yes.
Is this using the control and calculation of pointing Marie at this? Or is it, I don't know, is it impressing on Marie the importance of her finding this out? Is this presence? Which of those elements do you think flies?
I think I want to use my wisdom and flexibility in using my maidservant, right? Oh wait, this is my star element. No, I think I'll use calculation in this.
Okay. So we are going to roll with metal.
Mm-hmm.
So pick yourself a couple of dice, color them as you will in the dice room.
I have. And I will roll them.
Do that thing.
It's a 7, it's a 9.
Okay.
Gives me one hold.
Yes, it does. So what do you want to spend that hold on? Ask a question about a person, a situation, any other question. You implied it was checking no one's going to get in your way.
Yes. I could reveal a detail and say X is trying to prevent me from going, of course.
Would you like to do that?
Let me check the NPCs. I'll leave it up to you. I'll ask if there's somebody trying to prevent me from going.
I think at this point, it appears no one is trying to get in your way. Your expectation that the invitation will arrive, the maid of the chamberlain's wife, who is the assistant of the under butler of the closet, is certain she saw your name on the list.
Okay, very good.
So it looks like you're going to be fine, Alouette.
I will make certain to get some beignets or something to her, just, it's an appreciation. Or maybe to give them to Marie so that Marie can go on. Make sure that people remember the interaction with my staff in a positive light.
So Alouette has got an invitation nailed down. That's not a problem. What about Captain Wolfe? I mean, the Sea Guard, the Garde de Mer is not particularly favoured by the crown at this point. Invitations to officers of the guard not guaranteed, Captain Wolfe. How are you going to get an invitation? Well, you are muted.
I think I am going. The Musketeers are obviously on guard, regarding the event. I think I'm going to visit Mr. Treville, Monsieur Treville, and offer mine and my men's services to assist his troops.
What approach are you taking here? Is this an effort? De Treville is in his chamber in the Musketeers barracks in Paris, and Musketeers are fencing up and down the yard outside, practicing their rapier work. Why should Treville even see you?
Well, I don't think I go to Mr. Treville directly. I think on the first day, I go and drink with several of the Musketeers at the bars and the taverns around. Tell the stories of what the Sea Guard have been doing. Let the tall tales come out and the deer and do and everything else, and I let those creep back to Monsieur Treville, and before I actually make my presence known to him.
Does that sound like impress to you, or have you got something else in mind?
Well, I've actually got a move that allows me to try and get access to.
So you do. Yes, when you're trusted and you can get access to somebody or something.
Right.
So you could go straight to the item is the invitation, I guess. So yeah, let's have. And which element do you think that this is?
I think with the storytelling and everything else going on there, and trying to actually gain Treville's notice, I think I'm going with my presence and my ability to actually tell a good tale that would earn us an invite to the actual ball.
I think that's very fair. I think you're rolling with Earth, so that is roll +2.
Okay, and so that's an 11.
Well, that's a good start. On a 10+, you get you have access. You do so quietly, impressively, and without fuss. So Treville receives your request for a meeting. And what's your demeanor with Treville?
I'm quite humble with him. I tell the stories. I say that I point out that certain of the tales may have been exaggerated, but I let him see the scars and actually see the wounds. And while standing in the office, I'll be watching the people dueling down and training down there. And I'll break off at one point and head down and go over to one of the recruits and go, no, you've got this wrong, and basically try and show them the correct way to do it, to actually try and impress him and show the fact that I am a proper officer. I'm here to actually, for all of France, not just my regiment.
Well, Captain Wolfe, some of these stories have reached me from some of my men, and you for a sailor, you appear to be a capable individual.
Monsieur Treville, I am not a sailor. I'm a soldier.
The distinctions sometimes at sea, they are obscure to me. But you are an impressive young person. It is such a shame that you didn't choose a regiment that could further you in the eyes of the crown. But you are the sort of person that I think that deserves an opportunity. I will ask you, will you join my men when we are providing security for the king's person?
On one condition.
Oh, conditions, Captain. Conditions. Do tell.
I do not deny my men anything that I myself have been offered. I share everything with my men. And if I'm to be given this honor, I would like some of my men to be able to experience it as well. Handpicked, the elite, those who have distinguished themselves, but they deserve the glory as much as myself.
You may bring 3 men with you.
3 men?
Yes. 3 of your, what is the word, crew?
3 of my squad.
Company. Of course, your company. 3 of your company. Yes, forgive my misspeaking. You may bring 3 of your company, and who knows? Through that evening, perhaps we will be able to test their mettle.
I have a counter offer, and I will pick up one of the practice rapiers off the wall. I say I can bring 10.
Now, I feel a competition has come upon us. And he steps up, he goes out onto the kind of balcony overlooking the yard of the barracks. And he whistles and gestures 2 or 3 of his musketeers. Captain Wolfe here wishes to test our mettle, my friends. And there's, yes. And you are invited down to impress them. When you act to impress others or succeed at a competition, describe your performance. What do we see that is going to impress the musketeers, who are all armed with épée, of course? Do you choose to use your cutlass or a saber, or will you choose to fence with an épée?
I will take the épée, and I will accept it. It's a little bit shorter than I'm used to. It's not very heavy, is it? But
and then we see the waltz of the lily pads in action. Let's have you roll to impress the trivium.
Okay.
So
I haven't.
Is your...
Okay,
Sorry.
so how do I put a? 1 second. How do I put a thing down? Oh, there we go. No, that's fine. I think I got it. I've created a label. How do I? Oh,
then if you select,
I'm not used. I haven't used Roll with Me before, so.
Pick. You see, there's probably a purple square at the right hand side of there.
That's fine, and I get I am rolling with my flexibility, which is my water, and I get a 10.
Oh, hang on. Is this not? If you're using Water Lilliputs, it's Earth, isn't it?
Oh, sorry. I thought. Oh, yeah. Sorry, that's an 11. Then I do apologise.
Okay, which is fine and dandy. There. How do we see what how impressive is this? On a hit, you impress and convince. Pick 2 options.
Okay, let me. Sorry, I haven't played the game for a good while. Okay, I'm going to gain a favor from an observer,
and that is 10, not 3.
Yeah, and I'm going to create a bond with one of the actual people that I think the last person I come up against is Sophia.
Fine. So make a note somewhere that we have a named musketeer called Sophia.
No, isn't Sophie? Is 1 second. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to the character sheets. Isn't oh, sorry, no, I misunderstood what Miriam's entanglement was. I thought it was that Sophie had actually joined the Musketeers. I'm sorry, my son came in right in the middle of that, and I misunderstood. I'll gain a bond with Mr. Treville.
Fine, add him to your list. I would just stress, folks, that this game, this variety of Hearts of Wulin, introduces the idea of influence. Influence can be spent in a variety of ways. You'll find it in the other rules tab. And I've tried to make a note in the basic moves where influence is on the table. It's a kind of more flexible bond in a way. And it is something that can be spent in the kind of court moves on the far right of the other moves, of the basic moves. So we have 2 people definitely attending. Brother Seraphin, do you want to go? Or do you feel you ought to go? Or are you being told to go?
I think I think he's interested as it's a new experience. He knows he can't go there by himself. It's not like an aspiration to go to the ball, that sort of thing. But I think if Alouette would try to bring him along, then he would absolutely not say no to that.
You must go, Brother Seraphin. For if you are in Paris for the first time, you must attend the ball. It is quite imperative. And also, I feel that there are many temptations that might come upon me, and as my spiritual advisor, I might need your support.
Well, I certainly couldn't leave you alone in such a situation.
How lovely of you to say so. I need to get a fan. As a player, I need to get a fan.
Indeed.
I will.
So you will just ride on the coattails of Madame de deGourdan. I like that. Simone, you are not obviously in a place to obtain an invitation. Why does and I will begin to get these NPCs in place. Why does Emile believe it is vital that you attend?
My idea before this question was that I think it is vital to attend to see Alouette again. So
and that's a perfectly good reason for you to attend. I think I'm curious why Emile thinks that the Ashen Cross should be there.
I think that I could maybe convince him that this is an important night for many or much of the nobility, and we could maybe learn more in one place, learn more about all the goings ons with that.
Then I'm going to play my first faction action. I've added an action for the Ashen Cross. Gather information. The group is investigating another faction. I will ask you to tell me which one at some point. Not necessarily hostile, exploring an alliance, searching for something, an internal target, suggests a hunt for dissension. This isn't that. This is one of the other factions that you're wanting to find some stuff out about. So yes, I think Emile, he doesn't quite tell you you have to go, but it is clear the Ashen Cross expects you to go. You understand, Simone, how important this is.
Oh yes, of course. I will do my best.
If we are to achieve the aims that we all think are important, then we must know as much as possible about those around the crown.
Yes, and who best to gather this information? Who better than me?
You think a lot of yourself, I must say, Simone, but on this occasion, I agree.
Of course.
The question arises of how you intend to gain an invitation or to otherwise gain access to the ball. Because you could wait until the night and try to...
Yes, I think that I will gain access not through the main entrance. And once I'm in, like, nobody will be the wiser.
Then I wish you luck, Simone Leblanc. Know
Thanks.
that you do this for the Ashen Cross. Do not let us down.
For the Ashen Cross.
For the cross. It is 9 minutes past the hour. I'm going to suggest we take a short break and then we play through for the last 30 or 40 minutes. So it is, shall we be back in our seats at 1:15? I'll see you then. I'll pause. It is the winter solstice. It is late in the afternoon, and people are beginning to arrive. Because to be late for these things, some people think you should wait until later on in the evening, but you have to be seen at the very start. And Alouette has bought a new fan for the occasion. So I think I want to start with the arrival of Madame Alouette de deGourdan with Brother Seraphin. A carriage, and you can see the kind of the court outside Versailles behind me. You are one of the carriages that wheels up in front of the palace, and out you get, Alouette. And I think Brother Seraphin comes after you. A footman appears and simply checks the invitation. He looks over your shoulder, Alouette, at Brother Seraphin, and it looks like he's about to say something. What is there anything you want to interrupt him with, Alouette?
Oh yes, of course. I mean, I will ask him. Wait, aren't you the son of Etienne de la Croix? I seem to see a little family resemblance here.
Madame, you are very well connected. I'm not going to make you do anything special for this. I think it's lovely. He says, you know my father, madam?
Of course I do. And I've heard him talk about his very promising young son. I imagine that is you, right? Who else could it be?
I am honored to have been noticed, ma'am.
Of course. Wouldn't notice such a strapping young man as you are.
And he takes 2 steps backwards, bowing as he goes, allowing you and Brother Seraphin to simply sail past him without anyone questioning Brother Seraphin. Except, Brother Seraphin, the carriage in front of you is disgorging Cardinal de la Tour. And the Cardinal turns and sees Alouette in company with Brother Seraphin. Madame deGourdan, says the Cardinal.
Your Eminence, I will fall into a deep curtsy, of course.
He's talking to Alouette, but he's looking at Seraphin. Aren't you young d'Herbigny?
Yes, Your Grace.
And he holds out the ring to be kissed.
Yeah, I do so, of course.
What are you doing here?
Oh, Madame deGourdan has had the granted me the position of her spiritual advisor.
And he turns to Alouette. Alouette, Madame deGourdan, I didn't think you would need another spiritual advisor.
But my dear Cardinal, I listened to your, what's the word? Soliloquy?
I think of it as my ministry.
No, I mean the thing where the priest stands on the thing
Sermon.
and sermon, right? That's the word. I listened to your sermon last Sunday. The Sunday before Michaelmas, and I was inspired. I am a sinner, as are we all, Cardinal, as you said. And I felt that you are a very busy and important man, and I can hardly prevail upon you to be my spiritual advisor in small matters. And Brother Seraphin is such a lovely and promising young member of your congregation.
I think that we might be edging towards that move we love. Is there not a little inner conflict at work here, Alouette? Because your lover,
yes,
is here with the young man that you desire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a bit complicated, and also because I, like many people, I'm a bit worried about my soul, right? Not inordinately so, but still juggling around church people. That is not something I've heard that. Well, I will roll in our conflict, yes.
When you come face to face with emotional turmoil and pressure, mark XP, please mark XP, and roll anything except your style element.
I think I will roll with fire for passion. Because I feel passionate about both of them, which is odd and weird, and there are other, well, anyway, I will roll and see how flustered I will get. Oh, I'm not flustered. I'll go roll with 11.
You managed to keep yourself together perfectly.
Cool as a cucumber.
And for those of you familiar with the rules, there are some more options in this variety of inner conflict. Different ways you can maintain your composure. But you don't have to maintain your composure. Your composure is like an icy lake. And you sweep forward, and the Cardinal bows. But as you're passing, Brother Seraphin, he puts a hand on your shoulder. Cat to Simone Leblanc. Simone, what do we see as you make your way through the deer park at the back of Versailles? Because I think you told me you didn't want to come in through the front gate. Well, yes. This is the best way in. So yes. What do we see as we cut to the woodland fringing the deer park with the Palace of Versailles illuminated just over there?
Simone is disguised as Sebastian, whom Alouette might know from sometime earlier. Basically just a gender flip version of herself, but yeah, with a bit of a uniform or whatever they wear for a bit of higher status. And yeah.
So I'm imagining that we see you in a darkened hood and cloak maybe, but as you move into this winter moonlit night, we see that you are dressed grandly as someone who should be here, as a young man of very attractive demeanor. And I'd like to cut away from that, if I may, to Captain Wolfe. Captain Wolfe, de Treville has delegated one of his officers, a Monsieur Athos, and Athos has been delegated to allocate duty to you and your 10. Tries to stop saying sailors.
The word is soldier.
Soldiers, indeed, soldiers. Captain Wolfe, we have a special duty for you. It is most important. And he leads you around the side of the palace of Versailles. And he explains that the least defensible approach to Versailles is here. And he points at the deer park. Now you will see that there are a variety of braziers, torches, tents and pavilions. I need you to take your soldiers and establish a picket line out there to make sure no one approaches the palace from the deer park.
My eyes narrow. Really?
Indeed.
And where can I find you if I need you, sir?
I will be here on the steps going down to the gardens in which the pavilions and the tents and the braziers and the performing stage and the musicians. I will be located here.
And I will pick up a wine glass off the passenger waiter and hand it to him. Yes, I assume you will.
And of course, if you find yourself in difficulties, we, and he gestures to smartly turned out musketeers lined up along the back of the palace, will be here to support you.
That support sounds awfully a lot like save.
I am sure that you can protect the crown from the risks that the deer park presents. It is a very important duty, Captain Wolfe.
Oh, no doubt. That's the reason you're assigning it to me.
Indeed. Monsieur de Treville was very impressed with your performance at the barracks.
I take it you weren't.
All of us who observed you saw that you are certainly capable. And that is why I've been delegated to allocate your duty. We would not give you a task we did not think you could fulfill, Captain Wolfe.
So you send me and my men out into the dark where no one will see us?
I send you out into the dark where threats could lurk.
Ah, so you're familiar with the threats out there? It sounds like you are much more well-equipped to deal with this than I am, sir.
This sounds like you're angling towards hearts and minds.
I think we're verbally sparring at the moment more than anything else.
Do you want to get as far as social duel?
I don't know. How do you do a social duel in this instance?
Well, you'll find it on the basic tabs. So this is basically when you take on a foe in a struggle of words, arguments, and revealed machinations. Roll. You may spend influence or bonds. I have to say, in this context, his social scale will be above yours.
Yours, yeah. 1 second. Okay, I will engage him in a social duel, and I will lose.
If your social scale is below your foes, you lose. On a hit, you may describe how you managed to survive, blah, 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 and etc., etc. So it sounded to me like you were, there sounded like a degree of, there was some passion in that.
I think there's fire definitely in that, yes.
Yeah, so let's have you roll with fire, which is +1, I think.
Let me just click the dice. And that's a 12.
You lot are giving me nowhere to go with these dice. So on a hit, you may describe how you managed to survive their manipulation. Mark an element, your choice. So how do you survive? How do you end up in a less isolated position, I think is what you're after here, isn't it? Or am I jumping?
I think part of what we're trying to do is actually get the Sea Guard to be seen by people.
Exactly.
And so I think he orders me over that way, and I think as I go, I start singing. I start singing a song and find a minstrel to play along, and this basically ends up with a number of the nobles and the court hangers-on following to see what's going on with the show.
Which element do you mark?
I don't mark. Sorry, I'm reading that wrong. Where's the social duel?
Sorry, it's in basic moves. It's in column G.
Column G. Oh, that's over there. Sorry, I was looking at martial duel.
Ah, right. Yes.
And 1 second.
Because on a 10+, you also gain +1 influence.
Okay, if your
determination impresses people.
Mark an element. Okay, so I'm going to mark fire.
Okay, but as it says, on a 10+, you gain +1 influence. Now I've added an influence kind of counter on the bottom of the bonds block. So give yourself 1 influence, because I think some of the people who are attending, there's a gentle round of applause as you sing sea shanties, as you head across the entertainments towards your post.
And I think my men join in as well.
Of course, and you only selected the ones who comprised a pretty solid male voice choir.
Yes.
So 4-part
Alan,
harmony.
really? That's not the only thing the Welsh can do, you know.
Only you and I can tell that joke.
Indeed.
So yes, people say, yes, the Sea Guard. I didn't know the Sea Guard would be here. Oh, I thought they were not particularly in favour. Goodness me. Who is that officer? And so that's your influence goes up by 1. But of course, Simone, as you approach the lights, you will see a picket line of troops. They are better illuminated than you are, because I think Captain Wolfe maybe hasn't gone deeply into the Deer Park as perhaps Athos hoped, but instead has lined up on the edge of the garden area, where there is probably a set of balustrades and maybe a lake. How are you going to get past the guard, Simone?
Well, I guess the only way is through. And I mean, I've got my impeccable disguise. So I dropped the rope that we described earlier, and now I'm just in my disguise, and I walk up probably to Remy, and ask him, would you kindly let me back in?
Let you in, sir?
Yes. That's where the ball is, right?
Indeed it is, but you seem to be lost. Surely you should go to the front exit, the front entrance.
Oh,
After all, you do wish to be seen arriving, do you not?
I've been through there. I have been seen arriving, and I don't need the attention of arriving twice today.
May I ask how you got into the woods, sir?
Well, I've gone through.
What took you out into the woods?
I've heard of the great deer out here, and I had to see for myself.
A great deer, is it?
Yes, I'm into herding animals myself.
Oh, so you're a farmer?
Oh no! I've got lands.
Oh, really? Where are they? Anywhere I'm familiar with.
Now, Simone, let me just suggest to you, I think that you're angling towards here, come drink with me. As long as you interact with someone, you hold their attention. You may lead them into or away from a nearby location. If they wish to extricate themselves, they must mark an element or cause themselves major embarrassment. Because I'm thinking that in this, as this conversation proceeds, you continue to make your way towards the light.
Yeah.
Allowing Captain Wolfe the opportunity to either kind of cause a fuss or go with you. Because the other thing I'm wondering about is that you have that other move called the thief. You also have a foil, a magistrate or investigating official, someone at court who pursues you but passes you information via their bumbling. It could be that there is someone else, another NPC here who you can aim for. I just want to kind of check where you're going with this mechanically. So what are you thinking?
I think I'll be going for come drink with me. And take Remy with me.
And Remy, this confident young man is just leading you back towards the light. Do you want to not go? Do you want to make a fuss? What do you want to do?
I've got to escort them back, obviously. I mean, he's been left out in the park on his own, and I take it he's in you're in very, very good quality clothing and fit in here. So I've got to mark them back. He seems familiar. I can't place him. I'm sure I've met him somewhere before.
I get that a lot.
Have we met before?
I think that we might be angling towards good old inner conflict here, because I maybe not. I mean, there is a mutual unrequited love between Simone Leblanc and I because of my duty to Cardinal de Lac. Is there any way that plays into this, Captain Wolfe? Do you find yourself peculiarly attracted to this young man?
I think I do. I think I really do. There's something about him which I just can't put my finger on. I think I catch it. I think there's a moment as he walks past, and I catch a smell of his perfume or whatever, and it smells familiar.
Very good. So, what are you thinking in terms of an element to roll with?
Thinking in this case, I think this is metal.
Metal control.
Yes.
Because you
calculation and reflection.
I think so. Fine. So let's have you roll +0 for inner conflict.
Come on. I've had good rolls so far. Bad roll. Is there something up with this dice roller?
I'm beginning to wonder. So on a 10, mark XP. On a 10 plus, you manage to keep yourself together. You don't kind of make a fool of yourself. And Simon, your criminal Sebastian, your alter ego, drifts off into the party. Brother Seraphin, we left you with the Cardinal's hand.
Alan, sorry, one thing before he does. Sebastian, young sir, would you care for a drink later? When I'm off duty, you seem familiar to me, and I'm sure I've met you before.
Of course, sir. I can. We can have some drinks, and maybe we will find out where we might have met before.
I look forward to it.
Brother Seraphin, Alouette has swept through the main hall towards the gardens at the rear of the palace, and you are trailing behind with the Cardinal. And the Cardinal is making polite small talk about exactly how your chaplaincy for Madame deGourdan is going. And as you step out through the French windows onto this terrace with a line of perfectly dressed and presented musketeers, he pauses, and Alouette may be talking to someone else, but he says, "Look over there." And he points towards a sea officer, a marine officer, in conversation with some young man you've never seen before. But and he says, "What are they doing here? That bastard Dulac doesn't have much influence at court, more than we have. How did he get them in? Brother, find out why the Sea Guard are here and report to me."
Of course, Your Grace.
And that, I think, is where we will close this episode, with Captain Wolfe on the edge of the light, Sebastian beginning to mingle, Alouette being welcomed by a cluster of beautifully coiffured and dressed women and gentlemen, and Brother Seraphin having been given a clear instruction by his Cardinal. Okay? Fine. I would like to do a quick round of stars and wishes, if I may, please. It's early, we haven't played much, so there may not be much. But if I can stick with a right to left on the character keeper, because I simply lack imagination. Anders, any stars, any wishes for next time?
Yeah, I enjoy all the characters. It's an interesting mix, so I look forward to seeing more interactions between the characters. That's my wish, I guess. Just watching the sparks fly.
Well, I'm hoping to see you interact with Captain Wolfe early on, and perhaps whoever he was talking to. Who knows? Sabine, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, lots of stars for all the characters. They are all very interesting. I can't wait to see more of them. Stars for the sea shanty. I have a thing for sea shanty, so woo. And stars for putting up this game. That is a very good game, and I enjoyed it last time we played. I think I'll enjoy it this time. As for wishes, there are all these new social moves. Well, there are 2 new social moves that I haven't used before, and I'm playing a social character, so I definitely want to use at least one of them.
Yeah, we have to find someone to make some disparaging remark about you.
Oh, yes, please.
I'll see what I can do. Gerwin, any stars, any wishes?
I'm loving the characters that we have. I'm really interested to see how they go. Yeah, Simone and Sebastian. I love the whole playing cross-gender like that, and I'm really looking forward to actually seeing how that complicates things greatly and leads to all sorts of interesting situations. I'm looking forward to this game again. It's something different to the normal Hearts of Wulin, and I'm really just looking forward to seeing how it goes forward. And,
any specific wishes or just progress?
Progress. Let the story go where it will. Duels and arguments and misunderstandings and trysts in the dark, and it's all good. I'm looking forward to it.
Good. And finally, Miriam, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, stars for first of all the other players for having having already filled out some of their character sheets beforehand. That gave me a lot of inspiration and a bit of hold, so that yeah, as a new player I could find my way, and especially the Friends of the Royal Opera are great, and I, as Miriam, look forward to finding out more. I think Simone is not tasked with looking into them. So, but we'll see what will be revealed. And yeah, for wishes, I don't know what this game has to offer. So I'm just coming along, and we'll see where it goes.
Well, I hope it offers an experience you enjoy. That's all I ever want from a game. And my stars, I liked seeing Remy Wolfe push their luck with de Treville, and you know, having a little bit of sword play with some musketeers to impress them. I am also enjoying simply the idea of the Friends of the Royal Opera. I hope that we will discover as a wish more of their, you know, what are they after? You know, is there something in the palace that would be interesting? I'm just curious. Because I have to say, I think that most of our sessions are going to be focused on this night. I don't know if we're going to get through the ball or not, but I think it's going to be stuff going on at the ball, because we've got, like, you know, 15, 16 hours of darkness to play with. I'm enjoying Brother Seraphin's naivete, and I hope to put him in positions where he's embarrassed. And I too am enjoying the Simone Sebastian. What you have to do now, Miriam, is to find us a picture of Sebastian. So we've got a picture of both of them. And we've got a couple of other kind of minor NPCs that have cropped up. If you want to look up some pictures for them, folks, and pop them into the NPC one, that's fine. For my homework, I will aim to come up with some kind of relationship map that can be represented in 2 dimensions. You never know your luck. And I'll put a link to that in our chat. But for now, I'm going to stop the recording and say, sorry, I won't stop the recording until I say, are you okay with me posting this? Yeah, thank you very much. So I will wave bye-bye to the internet.